start the recording, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm going to figure out how to, I know there it is, the share screen. All right. My name is Brenda Petru, and I am a life story transformation coach. I'm also a gold in ranking in doTERRA. And I was introduced to life story transformation maybe a year and a half ago. And the woman who introduced me told me so many amazing and fantastic stories that I could hardly believe about what had shifted in her life when she started she actually would write out her story and tell herself a new story. And she actually recorded it and put it to music. Well, I started to do that too, and I'm going to share some of my experience with that. But so many things shifted for me over the last year, and I said, oh my goodness, I've got to tell people. I've got to tell people in my downline, especially because they want to succeed, and I want them to succeed. And here, we've struggled in our lives. All of us have been on the earth for some amount of time, and I imagine that none of us have escaped struggle completely. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. But what I'm going to talk about specifically is what I refer to as StorySort. And this was inspired by my mentor, well, Becky, of course, who taught me life story transformation, but also my mentor, Ann Washburn, who wouldn't take any of my excuses and who helped me to figure out how to do this process. And my organizer. I had a personal organizer come and help me with several rooms in my home. This is the first time I've lived in a place for longer than, I think, 5 years, 3 years, maybe the most that I'd lived anywhere else. And if you live in a place for 10 years, you accumulate a lot of stuff and you don't realize that you're doing it. And so I needed some help. So she came with banker's boxes and started sorting out each of the rooms. We'd define a position of where we were going to work, and then she'd set up the banker's boxes and sticky notes. And the first time through, we would just sort the stuff and say, what is it? There was no judgment, no decision making, no nothing. Just what is it? Is it a pen? Is it a book? Is it doesn't go in this room? Is it, what is it? That was the question as we went through. And it wasn't until we went through a second time when we could go through one box at a time to determine if we were going to toss it or keep it. And then we'd go through a third time to assign where the thing lived. Whatever was still in the box at that point was something that still lived and needed a place to live in that room. And then sometimes it needed a container, which was the fourth time through, to figure out if it needed to be in some kind of a container, and then keeping that up. So that was my personal organizer who was helping me to sort out my life, the pieces, the physical pieces of my life. But this is sorting out your story, because when you start when you make a new goal, you have a story and you're writing a new story, but your life that you've had so far, the results that you've gotten so far in your life, that's your old story. So here you're writing your new story and you're putting it on top of your old story. And pretty soon you've got this jumbled up mess. And sometimes it can be really difficult to remember which one you believe. And sometimes you can't remember which pieces go with which part. And so tonight, I hope that you're going to get some really great value out of what I'm offering and helping you to actually sort those stories. So you're going to know what goes with your old story and what goes with your new story. And then you get to choose. You're going to get to choose which one you want. And one of the things that I realized in my life is that I am the author of my own story. So why did I write a tragedy? Oh, think about that one for a minute. Have you written a tragedy? I hope not. But if you have, like I did, you can rewrite it. Isn't that fantastic? And I'm going to teach you how a little bit. So I want to give you a little bit of background to begin with about life story transformation, because it's really it's very important to what it is that we're working through here. So the background of that is the thoughts. What you think, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What you think about, you bring about. The Proverbs give us this, and also there was a book written by a man named James Allen many years ago where he expounded on this. It's a little book. You can read it in one sitting, but it talks about this. Like, what are you thinking about? What are you focusing about? What are you focusing on? Well, I'm going to share a little bit of my my personal life with you tonight, and I hope that's okay. As some of these experiences, they just were so powerful to me, and they taught me so much, and so that's why I'm using them to share them, and also because maybe you have some similar experiences, or maybe you'll come out of this thinking, oh my gosh, if she can turn her life around, anybody can, right? So I hope that it will be valuable to you. But several years ago, I had married a friend of mine from high school. We were very, very good friends. And when it came time to get married, I mean, I couldn't think of anybody I wanted to be with more. And so we got married. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't realize, as we sometimes don't, you have no idea, right? Until you start to experience things. And that's what life is about, is experiences and opportunities, and what we're going to do with some of the opportunities that are presented to us. And so some things started to go downhill pretty quickly, but I didn't realize how much of it was me that was going downhill with things. I didn't realize that my mind is a garden. My thoughts are the seeds. I could grow flowers or I could grow weeds, but I had planted weeds and I didn't even know. I didn't even realize that I had done that. I could tell that I had planted weeds because that's what I had growing. I had 4 children in 5 years. Those are not the weeds, but it was very overwhelming to me at the time. My husband had a business. I was doing the books for his business. He was working 16, 17 hours a day, and I was doing the books. And with my little children being as busy as they were, the time that I could do it was, 2 or 3 times a week. I would get up between 3 and 5 in the morning and work on making sure that things were staying in order from a bookkeeping standpoint. So I was exhausted. I was sick, tired, so tired. Like, you don't even know tired until you have a baby, right? But I was just kind of going through these rough things, and we were trying to figure things out. Well, during that time, right after my 4th baby was born, I was introduced to a man who sold some vitamins, and he was part of a multi-level marketing company. And I decided I wanted to try them because I was, tired and depleted. 4 babies in 5 years will do that to you. And so I decided I wanted to try them, and I was so impressed, and I was so excited about the results that I had gotten, and felt so good, and my energy was up, and I was producing plenty of milk for my baby, and just was really feeling much better about that side of things. And so he thought that I would be really a great addition to his team, and that I could probably sell a lot of vitamins. And he might have been right, except for one thing. What I thought and what I believed was that I wasn't credible, that no one would listen to me, that I was, so many negative thoughts, that I couldn't do it. I didn't have time. There were a lot of different things that I was thinking at that time. But he continued to, he had me on his, call sometimes list or whatever. And he called me maybe every month, maybe every quarter. I'm not sure, but it was over a long period of time, because I remember where I was when I met him. And I remember where I was when he had this last conversation with me, in which he recommended that I read James Allen's book. And also he told me, Brenda, you have the life that you want. You have created the exact life that you want. And I was so offended that he would say this. I couldn't believe what a rude thing to say, because obviously I didn't want this life. And yet every time I talked to him over the course of that probably year and a half, over the course of that time, every time I talked to him, there was another excuse, another reason why things were crummy. And I was focusing in on the crummy. I had planted weeds, and I didn't realize that I was doing it, but he pointed out very starkly that I wanted weeds. And so first I was super offended, but then I started to really think about it. And I do hope that someday I'll run across this man's name, because he truly changed my life, and I can't even remember who he is. And so he was just he was a stranger to me, but he was someone who cared about me for that amount of time and gave me this excellent advice. So here I was thinking about my problems, but Louise Hay says, I do not fix problems. I fix my thinking, and then problems fix themselves. Now think about that. Is it possible that you could fix your thinking and the problems would fix themselves? Well, at the time that I was referring to, I didn't know that I could fix anything. I felt completely overwhelmed, and I felt like I was a victim. I was full of blame. I wanted my husband to do all the changing because I was doing everything I possibly could. And I was focused on those problems. But later I started to learn to fix my thinking. And that's what I'm going to share with you a little bit more about tonight. Suffering is always the effect of wrong thought in some direction. It is an indication that the individual is out of harmony with himself, with the law of his being. Now, I'm not saying that suffering isn't valuable, because I do think that we learn a lot when we suffer. But I am saying that suffering should not be permanent, and it shouldn't even truly be long-term, because you can go through a hard time and not suffer. And you can learn from it, and you can be in perilous circumstances and still not suffer because of your thinking. So think about that a little bit, because actual suffering is always the effect of wrong thought in some direction. And so if you notice that you're suffering in your life, look around at what you're thinking. What are you focusing on? What is it that you're thinking about? Because you're out of harmony with yourself. You're not designed to suffer. You're designed for joy. And so when you do suffer, it's a clue. It's like pain in your body. Pain is a clue. It's telling you there's something going on. And so pay attention to it, and it will guide you to that. So visualization, everyone visualizes, whether he or she knows it or not. Now remember, I said I didn't know that I was planting weeds. So I was unconsciously creating my weed bed. And what I want to talk about is how to consciously create your garden, how to consciously create the life that you're looking at. Well, everyone visualizes. You visualize, I visualize. You might know you're visualizing, and you might not know that you're visualizing. But it is the great secret of success, and it is also the great secret of failure. So when you can consciously visualize, then you're going to be able to use that power of conscious visualization, and that will attract to you greatly multiplied resources. It will intensify your wisdom, and it will enable you to make use of advantages which you formerly failed to recognize. Notice it says it enables you to make use of advantages which you formerly failed to recognize. You just failed to recognize them. They weren't there. It's not that they weren't there. It's that you couldn't see them because your focus was on something else. So what are you visualizing in your life? What is it that you are what picture are you putting up as part of your life? I have a picture here of a magic lantern. And this is just an old projector. It's an antique style projector. And the box next to the projector, the magic lantern, they called it, is a box of slides. And those slides can be put into the slot of the magic lantern, and there's a light that goes behind it, and it pushes the light will go through the lens, and then it will come out, and you'll see the picture on the wall. Well, your brain is like this too. Your mind is like this. Your will, your belief, your faith is like the light. That's what's holding or shining out on that into the reality of your life. But what have you got on the slide? That's the part that I want to talk about tonight, is what is on your slide. You can change your slide. You can change your slide pretty quickly. You can put a different one in, and it will show a different picture. And how quickly can you change that slide of your life, of what you're visualizing for your life? Because once you get that slide changed, you hold that new picture. You visualize that your heart's desire. You hold it with your will, and it will attract to you all of the things that are required to the fulfillment of that picture by the harmonious vibrations of the law of attraction. So that is what you're going to be using here, is you're going to be vibrating at the same level of what it is that you are drawing to yourself. All right, so I want to tell you a story about visualizing. Back when during that time when I had all those little babies and all the crazy that was going on, that was a few years, a couple of years that we were living in this kind of position. But I remember being so tired, and I remember laying in bed when it was time to get up. And I remember just thinking, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't get out of bed. Like, I can't do it. But then I would realize that it was only going to get worse because everyone else could get up just fine. And so I had to change something. I had to figure something out. So the only thing I could do was imagine, like, what would it look like if I could? What would it look like if I could get out of bed? What would it look like if I could tidy up my living room and it would be vacuum and dusted? And what would it look like? And what would it feel like if my dishes were done? What would it look like and the counters were clean and the floor was swept and under my dining room table was vacuumed? What if it were like that? What if the laundry was done, and what would that smell like, and how would that feel? And I would put these pictures into my head while I was still laying in bed. And instead of thinking I can't do it, I started thinking, what if I could do it? What would it feel like? What would it smell like? And I would keep doing that and thinking, and what would it sound like? And how would I feel? Until I had enough motivation to get out of bed and start creating that. And you see that? That power of visualization, that power of thinking of the picture, that will help you to get the motivation. That helps you to move into that next space. And that's a small and simple example, but to me, it was huge at the time because that was really all that I could do. And yet I could do more as soon as I got that motivation moving inside of my heart. I was able to do something a little bit different. So here's the formula for you. The mental picture plus your will and faith, your belief, that's going to create that exact reality or your current reality in your physical world. So if you look around at your current reality and you're like, this is not what I imagined, you can go back and clarify the picture. Hold that with your will. Now, some people, when I talk to them about it, they say, oh, you can't do that. You can't just change your life by thinking about it. Well, okay, that might be one belief, but no, what if you could? What if you could change it? How did I get out of bed? I couldn't get out of bed. I was so exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I was depressed. My marriage was failing. Our business wasn't doing great. I mean, we were so pathetically poor, and not only poor in money, but we were poor in spirit. We were destitute. We were sad. We were depressed. We were messed up in the heads. And yet I could visualize until I had enough motivation to get out of bed and start making a change and do something different. So when people tell me you can't just change your thoughts and everything will change, yes, you can. And I am living proof of it. And not only from then, because I've continued with that practice in different ways. And I've learned how to be much more conscious about it. And some of that I'm going to share with you tonight. And I'm so excited for this. But you look at the difference between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is this little teeny piece of what's happening in your, and it's like 10% of your whole brain. Your conscious mind is what you know is happening. Your subconscious mind runs a whole bunch of important things. And we're thankful that we don't have to know all the things that the subconscious mind is doing, because that'd be a lot of stuff to be thinking about all the time. What if you had to consciously breathe? Like if you didn't breathe, if you didn't think about breathing, or what if you had to continuously tell your heart to beat? That would be horrible. Like what if you forgot? Or what if it stopped when you fell asleep because you're too tired? I mean, what a mess that would be. And so the subconscious mind has all of these programs that are built in and that are running, and they run all of our physical body, some of those underlying things, our smooth muscles, and the heart, the movement. There's a lot of things that are happening in our organs and processes, metabolism. All those things are happening because our subconscious mind knows what to do. Our conscious mind doesn't know, doesn't care. But the conscious mind is the place where we notice, my life sucks, I have no money. Or we notice that I want to change something. I have a goal. And so we put that goal into the conscious mind. And then the subconscious mind has all the programs that are underlying for the body, but it also has all the programs about how to live life safely, because the subconscious mind's number one job is to keep you safe, keep you alive. And sometimes safe just means comfortable or familiar, even if what you are familiar with is not necessarily comfortable. or not necessarily safe, it hasn't killed you yet. And therefore, if we come in with a new idea, well, that could be dangerous. That new idea, that could kill us. And so the subconscious mind job is to continually reject ideas that could be dangerous and and to just kind of basically keep us in that status quo. Now, the other thing to note is that the subconscious mind, the programming of that began before birth, at conception, and continued on until approximately age 11. So how does that make you feel? It makes me feel like, oh my gosh, I've got an 11-year-old running my business. At best, I've got an 11-year-old running my business. Oh my goodness. Well, that's what we're going to do now. We're going to talk about how to shift and change some of these programs that are buried in the subconscious mind, and we're going to bring in some new programs. If you look at the difference between an ant and an elephant, your conscious mind is like the ant. Your conscious mind has this idea. Woohoo, we're going to go for it. Let's do it. We can do this. And then your subconscious mind is like the elephant. He doesn't even know the ant is there. He just goes along, plodding along, doing what he's supposed to be doing, or what he thinks he's supposed to be doing according to all those other programs. And so this is a step. What you're learning tonight is a step in the direction of training that elephant so that you can be in charge. You get to choose what you think and what you believe. And I'm going to help you sort that out so it's easy for you to make that choice. Let's talk about words. The power of words. Words we think, words we speak, words we write. I want you to look at these two pictures. And if you can't see the slide, I'm going to describe it for you. But there's two different pictures on this slide. One of them is a stick figure he looks kind of depressed, and he's looking down at a mud puddle with a stick sticking out of it. And the other picture is a picture of a kite, a multicolored kite. It's up in a blue sky and with a cloud kind of low down, and you can see the string coming down on the page. What do these two pictures have to do with each other? Well, I'll tell you, this has to do with the words that I was saying. I was saying these words about the same person and the same situation. I was saying these words about my husband. Now listen to me, hear me out here, because I'm not going to talk bad about him, but I'm going to tell you that he has some wonderful qualities of being very steady. He's very stable. This is why I married him, because he's fantastically stable, and I had 4 kids. I needed stability. And he had 4 kids too. So we've been married now for 10 years, and we had 8 kids. They were ages 5 to 15 when we got married. So talk about chaos. I don't think either one of us realized how much emotional management had to occur in all the relationships that we had going on in our family. But it has been a awesome project, and wonderful. And we love all of our children, and they love each other. And so that's really a good thing. But here I am looking at this guy, and he has got these qualities of stability. He's got details. He's got steadiness. And so, but here I am saying, my energy is more light, more buoyant, more spontaneous, more maybe impulsive, and less likely to look at the details and, hey, I've got this great idea and we should do it and let's go, and that kind of energy. And so whenever we were making decisions together, well, you can see that we were different in the way that we made decisions. And so it took some time for us to get to the place where we could make decisions together and recognize the power in each other's gifts. But before I recognized that, I thought he was a stick in the mud. So there's the picture on the left with the guy looking at the stick in the mud. And I felt frustrated, and I felt like, oh my gosh, every time we have to make a decision, we got to go to committee. Do you hear these words? Do you hear these words? And guys, do you want to be married to a woman who's always telling you you're a stick in the mud? No. So I commend my husband greatly for having the patience to continue through and being able to see who I really was, because I wasn't her. But guess what else? I didn't want to be married to a stick in the mud either. And yet here I was planting those very words, those weeds right into my garden. I was planting those words I was planting those weeds with my words. Well, when I learned about life story transformation, I started to write a new story. And my number one story that I wanted to write was my marriage. I wanted my marriage to be happy. I didn't want to go through another divorce. I wanted to stop feeling so frustrated. I wanted to stop arguing. I wanted to not feel like I was the second class marital partner. I wanted to feel differently about my marriage. And so I started writing a new story. And one of the things that I wrote in that story about my husband, instead of the feeling and the belief that he was a stick in the mud, I said instead, he's the string to my kite. So there's the picture on the right. He is the string to my kite. I love his soothing, solid, grounded energy. Now that sounds a lot different, doesn't it? And when you hear those different words, well, for me, when I first heard the words, guess what? My conscious mind was feeling pretty irate about the fact that I was telling a story that wasn't true. And so I had lots of arguments because I actually wrote out my story and then I recorded it and I put music behind it and I started listening to it. Well, when I listened to it, then I felt irritated. I felt mad that I had this story because I was like, that is not true. I had my conscious mind totally yelling at me about the results look around, girl. Well, I called my mentor, Becky, and she laughed when I told her that. And she said, just don't listen to it when you're awake. Listen to it when you're asleep. And so I would turn it on and I would go to sleep. And so that started being able to get past my subconscious mind and be able to get that into my, getting past my conscious mind, getting it into my subconscious mind. And within 2 weeks, I started to notice that my husband and my children were getting along better than they ever had. And I thought, my gosh, what is happening here? These amazing results are coming to me now. And within about 3 months of telling myself a completely different story about my husband and listening to it in my sleep, well, I did get to the place where I could listen to it out loud. And I got to the place where I would let him hear it too, because I wouldn't let him hear it because I thought he was going to, use it against me or make fun of me or something, but he didn't at all. And when I let him hear it, he was really actually touched by it. And our marriage totally shifted within about 3 months. We stopped arguing. We stopped fighting about things. And when we do have disagreements, we're able to see each other. We started physically sitting on the same side of the table. Like we go out to dinner and we'll sit on the same side of the table so that we wouldn't feel like adversaries, but that we would feel like partners. And those things all started to shift because I changed the words that I was saying about him. So what about you? When you think about your family situation, do you think more about the picture on the left? There's a new slide, woman tearing her hair out while her little girls are yelling at each other and fighting, pointing their fingers. Or the picture on the right, where a family is out on their bikes for a fall ride. They're all smiling. The colors are beautiful. It's like a perfect fall day to go out on a bike ride. Now I recognize, because I have 8 kids. Between our two families are blended family. And now we also have my sister who's living here with her 4 kids. And so we have, cheaper by the dozen or something going on at our house. I do know that there are days and there are moments in time when I feel more like the one on the left with the woman tearing her hair out than I do of the woman or the family on the right. But what is the overall belief? What's the picture of your family? When you think of your family, are you using words like messed up? Or are you using words like healing, growing? I know every time I've had a 14 and 15-year-old, and I've had a few of them now, my youngest now is 15, but every time I've had a 14-year-old, I have been able to say, no, you know what? You are perfectly 14. Perfectly. This is exactly the behavior that I expect and would know that a 14-year-old would be going through these things so that you can develop these skills. And what a beautiful thing it is to recognize that versus, oh my gosh, when are you going to stop being 14? Well, obviously when he turns 15, he's going to stop being 14. Okay, so you can see the difference in the words that you can use and the words that you can choose. And this is another really important thing. And my mentor, Ann Washburn, taught me this part about choosing. She said, Brenda, you can choose. You can choose your thoughts. But I thought, no, I can't. I can't choose my thoughts because they just come into my head and they run like a freight train and I can't stop it. And I felt like such a victim. And yet she was right. But I had to figure out how to start arresting some of those thoughts, arresting them before they just freight trained through all the way to the end. And it took me some time. It took me some work to be able to do that. But think about it. You've got some neural pathways in your brain. Those neural pathways have been developed in a certain way to create the habits that you currently have. And changing habits can be very difficult, but you can build a new neural pathway. Your brain is amazing. It's amazing. But of course, it wants to take the road of least resistance, and the subconscious mind wants to keep you safe. And so you're going to want to keep your familiar, safe habits instead of changing them to something else. But you can change them, and I'm going to help you do some of that tonight. Let's take a look at this picture. What are the words that you're saying about your business? The one on the left, look at how nervous she looks. Oh my goodness, who am I going to talk to? What are they going to say? What are they going to think of me? Oh my gosh, what if they find out it's a multi-level? What do I say if they ask me if it's a multi-level marketing? Versus the other side where she is sharing, look at her, how she's handing that over. She's got her hand on her friend's shoulder. She's saying, hey, I've got something really awesome that I want to share with you. And the friend is receiving it and is like, wow, what is this? And she wants to know about it. And when you're looking at your business like you're helping other people, like you're really making a difference in their life, like you're bringing them a product that works amazing, but you're also bringing them an opportunity. And if they ask you, is this an MLM? And you say, are you looking for an MLM? Yes, it absolutely is. And of course it is, because it's the best way for you to really be able to make a significant amount of money and totally change your life. What a huge difference in the two ways that we might be looking at things. So which picture are you choosing in your life right now? Which one are you choosing? And by the way, I want to point out that if you notice that you're currently choosing something that isn't serving you as well as maybe you thought it would in the beginning, you can change that choice. And you do not need to judge yourself. In fact, I don't want you to judge yourself, because judging is part of your old story. And so we're going to sort all that judgment stuff out, because that's part of your old story. You're just going to look at it and be like, look at that. I'm believing my old story. And now I'm choosing to believe my new story. All right. So here's the formula. Your words that are thought, spoken, and written. You add that emotion, all of those pictures, everything we just talked about. There's so much emotion in those. Think of the visualizations. Add that emotion. And that equals power. And it equals power to succeed or the power to destroy. So what do you choose? What do you choose to think about? What do you choose to speak? What do you choose to write? What do you choose to believe? Because that's where the power is. So now we're going to make it work for you. So I'm hoping that this is all making good sense. I don't see any texts coming in or any questions that have been raised so far. And now you've got kind of the background. And so now we're going to go into the actual sorting. So you need a notebook, and you're going to need, you need some paper. You've got to have something to write on. And you're going to need more than 1 or 2 pages. And if you're a big time writer and you already know that about yourself, then you're going to need 7 or 8 pages, because you're just going to go for it. We're going to get these stories sorted out so you can choose which one you want to have happen. So grab some paper if you don't already have it. Make sure you've got a pen that's working. And I'm going to take you through the process, and then we're going to do it. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is take that piece of paper, and I'm going to ask you, what is your current goal? And you're going to write that at the top of your paper. When I first did this, my goal, I said, I want to be a doTERRA diamond. And then your next step of that is, why haven't you reached your current goal yet? What are the reasons that you haven't? So then you're going to start writing all the reasons why you have not reached that goal yet. This is your current story. This is the one. This is what you've currently planted and what you're currently seeing the results of. So once that part's done, then I'm going to ask you to bring up another piece of paper, and I'm going to have you write, I am my current goal because. And when you write this section, you're going to stand in the place where you're looking back at what you did to get to your current goal. What did you change? Who did you become? Well, guess what? As soon as you start to write this one, old story is going to come up. You're going to hear your brain say, no, you didn't. No, you don't. You never do that. That is such a lie. And when you hear that, you know that's part of your old story. So you're going to flip the pages back to the old story, and then you're going to keep on sorting that out. So you're going to keep writing your new story and sort the old story until you have two separate and distinct stories. So let's begin. We're going to start with, what is your current goal? And I'm actually going to give you 2 minutes to get that answer, because when I first started thinking I want something different, I was being asked to make a change and to set a goal, but I couldn't think of what my goal was. And so that's why I'm giving you some time to get your goal, because so much of what my goal was just like, I just want to not die. I just want to be like, okay. Those were kind of my beginning goals. It's just like, can I just be okay? Can it just be okay to be me? Can it just be okay for me to, like, can I just not beat myself up at the end of every day, or in the middle of every day, or all day long every day? So think about this. What is your current goal? If you're already with us in doTERRA and you have a rank goal, I really encourage you to choose that one to write about. Now, remember when my organizer was at my house and we had several different boxes and we asked, what is it? We defined a space of what we were going to work on, and it was just one room. We didn't do the whole house. So just do one goal to begin with. Just define the space of one goal that you want to work on to begin with. And if it's not doTERRA, it's okay. Because sometimes you really should do the one that is most pressing. The one that hurts the most is the one you ought to focus on first. What is your current goal? And it's amazing how long 2 minutes is when you know your goal. So if you've got your goal down, go ahead and get a drink and get ready. We're going to go into some writing. About why. Why haven't you reached your current goal yet? Start writing the reasons that you haven't. And let them actually come out. Don't judge them, or, I mean, if you do feel yourself judging them, write that down too, because that is not going to serve you, that judgment. So I'm going to give you about 10 minutes, and I'm actually going to start some music. I used to do classes where I would have people write and I would send it home as homework and be like, this is how you do it, and then go do it. But then nobody did it. So I'm giving you time in class. It's built into what you're doing. You've already set this time aside. So pull out your paper and start writing. If you find emotion coming up, that's fine. We have oils that you can grab, some of your emotional oils or others that may help. It's good to clean out with a good cry sometimes, so don't worry. If you've got emotions coming up, just let them flow. Let them come on out and get it all out on this paper and write all the stuff that comes to your brain, because you're cleaning out the corners. You're cleaning out the corners of your beliefs. you getting a good feel for how that old story looks? Okay, new page. Now on this one, this is going to be a new page. Maybe take a couple of pages past the one that you're at. Do not use the back because you're going to be continuing. You can use the back for your old story, but you're going to be continuing to sort this out. So now I'm going to write on my new page because my goal is to become a doTERRA diamond. So I'm going to write, I am a doTERRA diamond because, and then I'm going to stand in the place. I'm going to imagine, just like I visualized what it would feel like, what it would look like, what it would smell like when my kitchen was clean. Now I'm going to stand in that place of what is that going to mean? Like, what is that going to feel like? And I'm going to look back while I'm standing in that place and I'm going to say, what is it that I did? Who did I become? What changed in my life that made it so I'm here? So I say I am a doTERRA diamond because, and as soon as I started to write this the first time, so much stuff came up. So much stuff. No, you didn't. No, you don't. No, you won't. You'll never do that. Who do you think you are? So much of that kind of stuff. So when you hear that, you can get a little twinkle in your eye because you can be excited that you are capturing all of this old story and you are putting it on paper so that it is no longer flying around your head like a bunch of flies that are just bugging you. You're taking that story, that old story, the one that's created your current reality, and you are putting it onto a piece of paper. And you now are writing this new story about why you are, because. And I'm actually going to give you some more time for this one. This one is going to be about 15 minutes. So just keep on writing with this one. You might be tempted to go do something else during this time. Don't. Do the work. You can do this. Keep writing. Flip back and forth. Keep turning those pages. Gather up that old junk. You're cleaning out the junk. And you're bringing in that beautiful new story. You've got this awesome, can you feel it? See how it's starting to come in? One of the things that I wrote in mine is, I am a doTERRA diamond because I forgave myself for the mistakes that I made. And because I forgive myself for the mistakes that I make. I counted my mistakes. I count my mistakes as lessons learned. Keep writing. I'm noticing that if I use present tense, even though I'm talking about what I did to get here, it brings up more of the triggers. So use that present tense. Say I am because I do these things, not because I did. Because I'm just noticing that that brings up more old story stuff. And that's what you want, is to sort out that old story. Now, if this one is getting you're not getting as much stuff, I want you to change your sentence to, I deserve to be, enter your current goal. I deserve to be a doTERRA diamond because, and this will help you to bring up even more of that old story stuff. I'm just going to go about 5 more minutes, or however long this song goes. I have to tell you that this is my fifth or sixth time of doing this in the last like 2 weeks. And the old story, it's interesting because when I first did this, my new story, there was so much junk involved in it. But now that I've done it again, that junk is like farther and farther behind. Like when I started writing my new story, I got through a whole page before I could hear some of that old stuff again. So, okay, how are you feeling? We've continued to write until you have 2 separate and distinct stories. And I know I have you all muted, so you can't tell me how you're feeling. And but I am actually kind of curious about that. If there are things that you do want to share. So if you have something that you want to say, I'm going to look at my text box now. And you can tell me if there's anything that you are noticing or have noticed or any questions that you have at this point. You all look very intent. I hope that this has been really helpful for you. I hope that you've been able to really sort some things out. Now, if you look at the, I'm going to open back up the page. Look at the screen here. I've got the picture of the 2 wolves. We've talked a lot tonight about choice, about choosing. And you've probably heard the story of the 2 wolves, the old Cherokee that told his grandson, there are 2 wolves that are fighting inside of you. One is anger, greed, evil, revenge, hatefulness. The other is love, light, goodness, charity, generosity, forgiveness. And these 2 wolves are fighting all of the time. They're fighting inside of you and they're fighting inside of me. And the grandson looked up at his grandfather with wide eyes and he said, "Grandfather, which wolf will win?" And the old grandfather wisely said, "The one that you feed." So now I want you to take your stories, the 2 stories that you've written, and go ahead and pull them out of your notebook that you've written them in. So you have one on one side. Put them both in front of you or hold them both up in front of you. One on one side and one on the other side. And now look at your 2 stories as they are right in front of you. And read a few of the words on each of the story. And now choose. You choose. You get to decide which one is your life. Which one do you want to be your life? You get to choose. It's you. You get to choose. Now, one of the things that I know holds people back is their willingness to take action steps. This is what keeps people from reaching their goals. And I know this because I've learned it from my mentor, and she's right. She taught me these things. She says, in order to reach a goal, you've got to take action steps towards that goal. Well, that makes sense, right? But why don't we take the action steps that we need to take? Well, one big reason is accountability. we often don't have the accountability that we need. We really need somebody to be pushing on us every day that's saying, did you do what you said you were going to do? And we really need some help with that emotional management. We really need that help, especially because remember, that freight train is running in a certain direction. We've got those neural pathways already built. Now, a lot of times we think that if we can overcome these things on our own, that somehow it counts more or it feels better to us. But the truth is that we need someone to help us. We need someone to help us, to take us by the hand and help us to choose to break free of these old patterns and bring in the new ones. And the things that can help you to be able to heal relationships with others, with time, with money. Those are all relationships. And so I've talked a little bit about my mentors tonight, and my mentor, Ann Washburn, and I have come up with a plan where we are going to she actually has done this, and Tim and I have talked about this. So she does this all the time. She does a 12-week mentoring program, and she teaches people how to heal their relationships with others, how to heal their relationships with time, how to heal it with money. She helps people get into accountability groups so that they can be helping each other to hold them accountable and be like, hey, you said you were going to do this. Did you do it? And to overcome those emotions. And we're, of course, because we're oils, right? We're going to talk about oils all the way through this group mentoring process. Well, she does this all the time. Well, Tim and I said, hey, we want to offer this to our downline. We want to offer this to our close friends and our downline and our family. And we want to be able to, we want you to be able to come for a price that isn't too steep for you at this time. Now, normally when we took Ann's mentoring, I think we got a deal where two of us could take it for $1,200. Her normal price per person is $800 per person. 12 weeks, 6 sessions. And this time what we're offering, group mentoring, yes, with Ann, but you also get me and I get you. And what an awesome opportunity that is for me and for you to be able to get both of us at that time. And we're offering it at a very special price of only $97. Now, when Ann told me, when I told Ann this is what I wanted to do, she said, are you sure? Because, people, she mentioned, I don't know if you saw her video when she and I did a Facebook Live this week. She said, I had a small group of people that I went to lunch with for 1 hour. They paid me $1,400. And at the end, the consensus was it was worth 3 times that amount. So you're going to get 6 hours with her, 6 different hours, 6 different times over a 12-week period. It will actually be a little bit longer than that because we have Christmas right before our last one for only $97. And so that price is wonderful. You'll never see it from her directly for that price because people want in so badly. Her classes are always completely filled. But we wanted to offer it to you because it's made such a huge difference for us in our lives and in the things that we have been trying to accomplish. You're going to get a link in your email that will tell you how to sign up. And that special pricing is available until Friday. So get on it. Go ahead and move in and take care of what you need to. Do whatever you need to get that together. Tell your friends. Bring whoever you want to bring with you. If there are other people. Do you know why this is the best time of year to do this kind of a thing? We're in the 4th quarter. A lot of people we're already starting to see marketing for the holidays, and people oftentimes will be like, oh, I'll pick it up after the first of the year. But what if you could do it now? What if you could have the accountability that you need to push you through, get you through the holidays, and come into the last appointment on January 5th, ready to launch into your new year, ready to make a New Year's resolution that's different than the one you made last year. I hope that you will join with us, and thank you so much for being with us tonight. Now, before we end, I want to tell you one more story. I have a sister who has been going through some really tough stuff. And about a month ago, she and I drove to California, where she was from. And we were getting some of her things, and we had to go to court. Her marriage is ending. And so there are some really, kind of emotionally tough things that we were taking care of while we were down there. Well, in that process, we had the opportunity to travel to um, to deliver a car to another family member, a car that she had been borrowing. And so we drove it out to that family member, and then we were close to the beach, and we wanted to go to the beach because the beach is so healing. There's so much that is so fantastic about that. And I don't know if it feels that way to you, but to me and to her, we both love the beach. We love the sound of the gulls and the waves and the way the sand feels under your bare feet, and the smell and the vision of just the endless ocean. And that sometimes you get to a beach where there's some docks and different things, and it's just so soothing. It's so healing. It's the way that the air comes off of the ocean and just kind of bathes you in this beautiful, quiet, and peaceful, where you can kind of think and you can kind of look at things. Well, she told me before we went to the beach, she told me that as we were driving across, we had two cars at that time. And so she was by herself, and she said, I was just lighting up the sky with my eyes. I was saying, this is over. This story is over. I'm done. I'm burning it down. This is over. And when I get to the beach, I'm going to throw in my wedding ring as a symbol of my breaking free from this situation that has totally been horrible for me. But the next morning when we got ready to actually go to the beach, and we got there, and she said to me, Brenda, I don't want to throw away my ring. I love my ring. And I view my ring as a symbol, not only of my commitment to that husband who has betrayed me, but even more as a commitment to myself, as a commitment to my God, and as a commitment to my children. And so instead of throwing it away into the ocean, I'm going to transform it. I'm going to move that ring from my left hand to my right hand. And when I look at it, I'm going to remember my commitment to myself, to my God, and to my children. I'm going to remember that. And so there on the beach, she made that change, that transformation. Well, we had a few hours to drive together before we got back to her other vehicle that we were bringing home with us. And so I noticed as we were driving, and she noticed a few times, that she kept putting her ring back on her left hand. But when she noticed that she did that, she didn't scream at herself. She didn't yell. She didn't throw a tantrum. She just said, oh yeah, I have a new story. And she would take it off and put it back onto her right hand. And after a couple of weeks, I asked her how it was feeling. And she said, you know what? I've totally adjusted to it. And every time I look at it, I remember my commitment to myself and my God and my children. And I'm not even tempted to put it back on my left hand anymore. I thought this was such a powerful thing. And I want you to take that story with you into what we just did tonight. Now that you have chosen your story, and I hope you've chosen your new one, hang that one up on your fridge. Take your old one, thank it for its service, and release it. Let it go. Burn it. Shred it. Do something with it. Let it go. Let it go peacefully, right? Let it go, but let it go. And when you do that, now sometimes you're going to notice that you're going to be back in your old story. But when you're back there, just think of my sister with that ring. It's just been, you just have the ring on your left hand again. Just move it back. It's okay. You can do this. Just move it back and continue to choose and make it so you can break free of the stuckness that you have felt in your life. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I'm seeing that I can see something. Let's see. There we go. I've got a couple of chats here. Okay. The first class, thank you for asking that question. The first class will be on the 20th. So it's actually next Thursday. And that class will be at 5 o'clock. After that, it will be every 2 weeks following that until December 15th. But the rest of the classes will be at 6 o'clock. So they're 1 hour that we're going to get with Anne. We'll schedule a little bit longer than that because I'll be able to stay on and we'll talk a little bit more and have some interaction. She's got a lot of great information that she's going to be sharing. And in the classes, Amberly, thanks for that question as well. We won't be doing this kind of work because we've done it here, but she will be sharing with you different ideas and ways that she helps people move past the blocks So when you've got a goal and you know the action steps to take, but for some reason you're not taking the action steps, well, why? Well, it's usually emotions, a lack of accountability. You know what? It's always emotions, right? It's always emotions that keep us from doing what we know that we should be doing. We have our reasons why we're not going to be able to do that. Well, that's what this class is for, is she helps you. She teaches you how to work with those emotions. We're also going to be using oils in our classes, the ones, especially the emotional ones. And so if you don't have oils, we can get you hooked up with them. And if you do have oils, then share them with yourself and with anybody that happens to be coming around, because all of that, we're going to be working on those emotional management. Each class is a little bit different. You'll have some assignments that you'll be doing in between, and the assignments are like, you have a daily accountability group and you have partners that you'll be working with. The experience that I had the first time I did it was so amazing to realize that there were other people who also wanted to grow, who also wanted to change. And so that was the real benefit, was now I started being able to have those kinds of friends and surround myself with those people. Because when you want to grow, when you want to change, sometimes all your best friends don't want to do it with you. Sometimes you get lucky and your best friends do want to do it with you, and it's awesome. But sometimes they don't. So thank you again so much for being with us tonight. You will be getting an email. It will be coming out in the next 10 minutes that has the link where you can go and get that special price. And you're welcome to share that with your teams. This message has also been recorded, this presentation tonight. And so you'll be able to, I will send that out also to everyone who has registered. So I've got your emails. So thank you again and have a wonderful evening. Good night.